الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين بارئ الخلائق أجمعين وأفضل الصلاة وأتم التسليم على سيدنا محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين صلوا على محمد. السلام عليك يا رسول الله، السلام عليك يا خيرة خلق الله ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا أمير المؤمنين، السلام عليك يا علي بن أبي طالب ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا فاطمة الزهراء سيدة نساء العالمين ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام على الحسن والحسين سيدي شباب أهل الجنة ورحمة الله وبركاته. Together, inshallah, we send our salutations and salams to Aba Abdullah al-Hussein and his family. Assalamu ala al-Hussein wa ala Ali ibn al-Hussein wa ala awlad al-Hussein وعلى أصحاب الحسين جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام على التسعة المعصومين من ذرية الحسين ورحمة الله وبركاته. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. قال الله تعالى في محكم كتابه الكريم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وقل للمؤمنين يغضضن من أبصارهم ويحفظن فروجهن وقل للمؤمنات يغضضن من أبصارهن ويحفظن فروجهن ذلك أزكى لهم. صدق الله العلي العظيم. Sisters and brothers in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Welcome to the fifth night in this series of looking at the challenges faced by the community in the 21st century. And we began this series by looking at the real Husseini community. And one of the issues that we are facing in our community is the issue where many of the sisters are objecting to the issue of the headscarf. We hear in the communities that we have certain cases where certain sisters have taken off their headscarf for some reasons. Maybe the reason is that they do not understand the main objective of a hijab. Maybe the reasons is that they don't think that hijab is wajib in Islam. Or maybe it's actually a cultural clash that certain individuals find. So therefore, it is becoming a more increasing problem in society. Therefore, we have decided to speak about this. In addition to speaking about it, we decided to collect some data to try to analyze the situation, to try to find out what is actually the problem. Because to be quite honest with you, right, it's not really my job to speak about this. Yes, people, you look at me, I'm a man, right? I don't wear the hijab, I don't wear the headscarf. I know I wear this cap, but it's not really a headscarf, right? So therefore, rightly so, many of the sisters say, who are you to speak about what we go through? And at summer times, and mashallah, in the UK, we've had really interesting summer times, right? This year and the last, where, some of the sisters question and they say, well, we wear the hijab, we suffer, so to speak, in society, where you men are okay. You can wear the t-shirts. When you go to the beach, you can take off the, top and go and swim and whatever. But we can't do that, okay? So it's a problem for us. And so therefore some of them are actually questioning whether this is actually an Islamic issue or not. So therefore, inshallah, today, with your permission, we will examine this issue in detail. The contents of the talk are as follows. We will ask the question, what is the problem? And by the way, today is the first of the 4 lectures, inshallah, where I will give you results of surveys I have done in the community, and I will reveal the results, and inshallah can analyze the data, because to be quite honest with you, everyone has an opinion about things. We talked about this yesterday, right? If I come and ask a particular question, everyone here will have an opinion about it. Some of you will have a strong opinion about it. So therefore, the best thing that we need to do as a community is move towards data collection, shouldn't we? Because the data I'm going to reveal to you today is not my opinion. It's not your opinion. It's not each one of you's opinion. It's actually a community's opinion, right? And through that, we can try to come up with interesting results. And then when we come up with the interesting results, then we can start to analyze the results. And analysis of the results is not straightforward, trust me. I've taken hours to try to understand the patterns of the data here, try to understand what is actually going on in the data. And you'll see in the next few days what I mean by that. You got to try to take some patterns out of the data. When you look at data, for those of you who works in science, for those of you who collect data and analyze data, it's not straightforward when you look at it first thing, but you got to go and dig deep. You got to find that pattern inside that is not revealing when you first look at the data. So we need to move as a community towards data collection. We need to then reveal the results to the community and analyze it and find out what the problem is and try to solve these particular problems. So what is the problem? We'll talk about that. We'll also try to define the hijab. What is the hijab? Why is a man, i.e. myself, talking about the hijab? What is the purpose of hijab? We'll go in depth into the survey results. It was an overwhelming response. I had 817 responses worldwide, okay? So it was an overwhelming, large amounts of data, right? And it took me a long time. And remember, each person can write as well. So they write comments, and mashallah, some people write essays. So you got to go and read a lot about these particular issues. And I can't ignore anyone. I got to keep on reading about it, which is fine, which is what I started, that's the whole purpose of doing this. And also, very importantly, we'll go at the end into answering some of the queries on hijab. But I would like to just say the following, that this is not an attack. Yes, I need to say this at the start. This is not an attack on the non-hijabis. Yeah, it's very important for me to state this, because people might think, and I did have comments, and I'll show you the comments, that people will say, well, you're doing this so that you can have a majlis, you can have something to talk about, yeah, and you're gonna have you're gonna talk about us and how bad we are and how deviant we are and all these things. No, that is not my intention. If you want to interpret it like that, then you are free to interpret whatever you want. God has given us free will, right? But this is not my intention. My intention is to reveal to you my understanding of what's going on. But more important than that is I wanted to hear your opinion about this. Those individuals who don't wear the hijab, you can't come and stand here. You don't have the opportunity to stand here in a majlis and speak about it. Yeah? So I wanted to represent your point of view. And I genuinely will. And you'll see in the comments, some of them you'll probably say, wow, are you sure you want to put this out there? But I will, okay? I will reveal what they believe, those individuals who don't wear the hijab, and let's discuss it as a community. What is the problem? Let's be open about this and discuss it and find solutions to it. Okay, so inshallah we'll start this journey towards the hijab with a loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Okay, so what is the problem? So, as you know, there is an increased number of Muslim women who are questioning this concept of hijab, as we said at the start. What is the definition of hijab? So I'm going to go into a bit of, talk about definitions, talk about the why am I talking about this, etc. And then inshallah we'll move into the juicy parts, which is the results, inshallah. So, and again I emphasize, especially for the sisters, yeah, don't come and sit here and just listen to this, yeah, and go back home and think, yeah, all right, that was okay lecture, yeah, well done. I'm not looking for praise. I'm not looking for, I want all of us as a community to rise. When it comes to these things, you got to explain it, okay? As a woman who wears the hijab, and by the way, I'm going to state something quite not so obvious in the community, I will say, is that I'm not just talking about the woman here wearing the hijab, I'm also going to talk about the men wearing the hijab, yeah? So don't you guys fall asleep, yeah? It's also about you guys as well. And we'll explain inshallah later on that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks to the man first about wearing hijab before he talks to the woman about wearing hijab, yeah? So it's also about men and women. So both of you, in fact, but more importantly, the sisters out there, because you are because you have that headscarf on, then the society out there will know this is a hijab. So you've got to know how to explain why you wear the hijab, of course, yeah? So take some notes, don't just listen and things like that. At least take notes in your head if you can. So the term al-hijab is actually a wrong one, okay? We shouldn't really talk about this concept of wearing a headscarf as hijab. Which it actually, hijab means a cover or curtain or screen. So when we look at Maryam alayhi salam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Holy Quran, He says, فَاتَّخَذَتْ مِن دُونِهِمْ حِجَابًا. Okay? It's not that she was wearing a headscarf. No, she actually took a veil to screen herself away from those individuals. Yeah? So, اتَّخَذَتْ مِن دُونِهِمْ hijaba. She put a hijab, she put a screen, a barrier between her and the other people. Yes? So this is hijab. Hijab is like a screen, it's a barrier from them. Then we send to her our spirit, فَأَرْسَلْنَا إِلَيْهَا رُوحَنَا فَتَمَثَّلَ لَهَا بَشَرًا سَوِيًّا. So the term in Islamic jurisprudence is in fact a sitr, right? So we've labeled the whole thing wrong, actually, to start off with. Yeah? So it's not actually hijab. When you say you're wearing the hijab, no. You're wearing the sitr, right? This is what in jurisprudentially it's called sitr. However, people now know it's called the hijab. The society knows it's called the hijab. Within us, we know it's called the hijab. So we'll continue labeling it as hijab. But just to tell you that this is a wrong term. Okay? It's actually a sitr. So why is a man talking about hijab? Well, number one is because hijab is not just for women, it's also for men. Okay, that's number one. So I'm talking about the concept that we all have to follow, right, and cover ourselves. Number two, I guess because many people, many individuals will think this is a woman thing and you don't know what we're going through. But that was one of the main reasons why I did the survey, is so I can represent your point of view. Because unfortunately we live in a community, in a society where a woman is not given an opportunity to come to the pulpit and speak. Yeah? Especially in front of men, etc. Right? In a majalis, you do not see a woman speaking. Okay? Well, I don't want to open a can of worms, whether you agree with this or disagree, that's a different opinion. But the fact is that the woman does not give majalis to both genders, right? It usually gives a majalis to only sisters. So therefore, you are not given a voice. So I'm representing your voice. So why is a man talking about hijab? You should be praising, you should thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that a man is talking about hijab. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. So the concept of hijab or sitr is actually the same for men and women. Just try to understand what I mean here. Let's not get emotional, Yeah? Let's just put in some facts out there. The concept of hijab, okay, the concept. I'm not going into the methodology and what do you actually wear, etc. No, I'm actually talking about the concept. You don't believe me? Let's go to the Holy Quran. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala starts to talk about hijab with men first. So he says, this is chapter 24, verse 30, and then the next verse, verse 31, he starts to talk about women. So the first verse, he says, قُلْ لِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ. Mu'minina are who? The men, yeah? قُلْ لِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ يَغُضُّوا مِنْ أَبْصَارِهِمْ وَيَحْفَظُوا فُرُوجَهُمْ. Yeah? Inform the mu'mineen, the men out there, to lower their gaze and cover their private parts. Yeah? And then the verse does continue, but then verse 31, he says exactly the same. Can you see the color coordination? But in Arabic language, he changes it to so that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is referring to the woman. And he says, وَقُلْ لِلْمُؤْمِنَاتِ yeah? يَغْضُضْنَ مِنْ أَبْصَارِهِنَّ وَيَحْفَظْنَ فُرُوجَهُنَّ. Exactly the same, isn't it? Yeah? Note these verses down, sisters. Yeah? Note it down. When you come and argue about it in the Quran, you note down verse 24, verse 31, chapter 24. Okay? It's the same for men and women. Yes, of course, and we'll go into it, that later after continuing from that, وَيَحْفَظْنَ فُرُوجَهُنَّ, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala goes into more details into what the women should wear and should not do, but we'll explain why. Yes? So what's the purpose of hijab? Remember, we're still at this moment talking about men and women. What's the purpose of hijab for men and women? Yeah? And it gets us closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Importantly, by it acts as a barrier to committing forbidding acts and suppressing our wild desires. And it's an important thing because when you think about it, al-hijab, you shouldn't think of it as a physical thing for men and women. Yeah? You should think of it as a barrier to stop you from committing certain acts. So the hijab will stop you from entering a pub. The hijab will stop you from sitting down looking at indecent images. The hijab will make sure that you lower your gaze, right? Yes, it's a physical thing where the man covers their private parts and covers their chest, etc. The women cover their hair. We'll explain why do the women cover their hair and the men don't, right? But it acts as a barrier for us to stop committing sins and not to succumb to our desires. Beauty of dressing for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's command, my brothers and sisters. He says that I want you to lower your gaze, I want you to do what? Cover your private parts, and I want for the women to cover their hair, etc. So that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, I want you, this is a command of Allah, so therefore we are dressing for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The cloth that you wear, the men and the women, right? It radiates and springs from your beautiful soul. Yes? I know I'm getting into a bit of spirituality here, but there is a huge spiritual element to wearing the hijab. And I don't have much time here, but I want you to dig deep further into what is the spiritual benefits of wearing the hijab. Protects and covers our heart from the diseases of the dunya, as we mentioned. Yeah, it's like a shield in my heart. When the sister wears her headscarf, you are wearing that particular cloth that covers your heart from the diseases of the dunya. Think about it like that. When you get up in the morning and you want to go to work or you want to go to university, and when you put on that particular cloth on your head, right? Remember that you are putting that cloth over your heart, you're protecting it from the diseases of the dunya. When you step out of the home, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving you that protection. Yeah? And hijab is also an identity, my brothers and sisters. It's an actual identity. Why do I have a flag in there? Right? Main thing is because the flag You know, we don't really notice this in Britain. I wanted to put an American flag, but I thought it was very inappropriate. So I put in a British flag. But the Americans, they actually really respect the flag, don't they? Right? So if you actually take the American flag and put it on the floor and actually start to stamp on it, it's an offense in America. Yeah? Why? It's just a cloth. Yeah? Who cares? It's just a cloth. The flag is just a cloth. You can make it from any cloth. No, it actually represents something. It represents a what? Identity. It's an identity, who you really are. So that cloth, that American flag defines who the Americans are. Yeah? This British flag defines who the Brits are. This cloth that you wear on your head and the hijab that the brothers also have is an identity. Identity is who you really are. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has prescribed this identity on you. He said, the woman, I want you to be identified in public on those who are non-mahram, yes, with this particular flag. Your flag is the one you're wearing on your head. The flag of the mu'mineen, the brothers, is the one that they cover their private parts and their chest, etc. Yeah? Good. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. So this is the purpose of hijab, and inshallah we'll move more into around this particular concept. But now I'm going to take you to a journey of revealing the results for this particular study. And this study was 817 individuals, right? I hope they were all women. I didn't ask them if you were women or men. That was this survey. The purpose, I didn't really speak to men about it. I didn't ask men about the hijab. I asked women about hijab so that you can represent, so that we can hear what you've got to say about hijab. Yes, is that very clear? Right? What you've got to hear. And to be quite honest with you, and I'm being brutally honest, I wasn't really into hijab for men. Right? I really thought that there is a problem in society where, you know, women are suffering from the issue of not understanding hijab. Not suffering is quite a harsh word, but not really understanding misconceptions about hijab. So I thought, let me speak. But then the results I identified and actually taught me a lesson. And some of the sisters said, why you just talk about women? Why don't you talk about men hijab? So then I went and delved into the hijab for men, and I found, wow, yeah, there is lots of issues, you know, lots of material about one. So I dedicated once a lecture called Hijab for Men. We don't really talk about these things in a pulpit, right? Men get away with it, yeah, about hijab. But the men do also, as we've shown, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala starts with men when He talks about the hijab. But this study is focused on the woman hijab. So the first question asked, do you wear the hijab? And a majority of people said yes. But I was also extremely interested in that part of the pie chart, right? Extremely interested. And there's quite a large portion. There were 140 individuals who did not wear the hijab, who participated in the survey, and 677 individuals who participated who did wear the hijab. And the following are for those, the results are for those who did wear the hijab. We also would like to benefit from those who have experienced wearing the hijab, yeah? And maybe if some of you are thinking about taking the hijab off, you can hear about the others who have experienced wearing the hijab. So this is, remember, this is the results of for just those who do wear the hijab. I'll show you later those who don't wear the hijab. So what are the main reasons you wear the hijab? You may choose one or more. So overwhelming majority, 85%, is because it's obligatory in Islam. It's wajib. They wear it because it's obligatory. Okay? A bit less than that, they say, I believe it's the right thing to do. Right? But notice that it's less. You know, more people wear it because it's wajib, not because they believe it's the right thing to do. Yeah? But then you get a huge drop where you have certain individuals, around 5%, 6%, they say, to please my parents, I wear the hijab. It's actually quite cultural. because in my culture, I'm used to wearing hijab, so so we all wear it, and society forces me to do it, right? Quite a low number of, and there were quite also other people who said other. There was an option of other, and they gave comments into why. And I'm going to show you so many comments, you'll be bored of it, but they're very valuable comments, and that's why I'm here. I'm here to represent that particular point of view. Yeah. So we'll show you a lot of what people have actually said. Do you believe you are well versed with the reasons why the scholars believe hijab is obligatory? I wanted to ask this question because I thought that, you know, those individuals who wear the hijab, do you actually know why you wear the hijab, or is it just you wear the hijab, right? Is there do you know the reasons, the scholarly reasons, the Quranic reasons of why Islam makes it obligatory to wear the hijab? And yes, around 73% said yes, and interestingly, around 20% said no. They don't know, okay? But we'll see later, for those people who don't wear the hijab, this no increases quite significantly. You know, they don't know why people wear the hijab, so therefore they don't wear it. Yeah. So I'm going to go through some of the comments that we got for those people who wear the hijab. Okay. So one of the sisters said, "I'm a follower of Ahlul Bayt. I feel safe and protected. It symbolize dignity and modesty. I love wearing it. I love my hijab. Living in the USA, I feel that is the way I do tabligh." So tabligh is calling for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for Islam. And that's her. This is an interesting one. She says that I wasn't a hijabi before. Hijabi is an individual who wasn't wearing a hijab. This is a new term discovered, made up by some people. I was struck with the fact that if we weep for Zainab alayhi salam and Zahra alayhi salam, that's I think because, yeah, of the calamities they faced, then we should also know the reason. And by the light of Allah, it has been, number 4, years of me wearing the hijab. Okay, so she wasn't a hijabi before. Then she noticed, interestingly, as we are in Muharram now, she noticed that the sufferings of Fatimah al-Zahra alayhi salam and Zainab alayhi salam, you know, and the calamities they faced, and even they did that with all these calamities and challenges, they did that with this identity that really described them, right? Which was the hijab. And they never, you know, going through all these calamities, they never took off this hijab and said, what is this going on? They continuously had that particular identity. It's part of my identity, as we described before, and one of the sisters say that. It is a way to take control over my body and tell people it is my own, to only show those who I want. Yeah, she's protecting her body, and she's saying, I only show my body to those who I want, and who, of course, Islam allows me to. It brings me closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and helps me deal with my own inner struggles. Yeah, of course, remember, this was an anonymous survey, so I didn't know who was saying all these things. So those people who wrote it, I'm hoping that they had free will to write it. No, there wasn't a gun pointed at their head, right? So they had free will. So hopefully this is the real feelings about this, and helps this particular sister in her own struggles, right? When she wears the hijab, it strengthens her own will and helps her to fight her own inner demons. It's an honor granted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to women. This is interesting. She's looking at it a very positive way. She says it's actually an honor for us to wear this hijab. I love my hijab and chose to wear it, although I was asked not to wear it when I converted. This one, she says, I would rather leave Australia than remove my hijab. It's quite a strong one, isn't it? Because this is a revert. And she converted to Islam, and she said, if they're going to, you know, tell me to remove my hijab, I'll leave Australia. I'll rather leave Australia than, because now she's discovered this gem that she has, and she's new to the religion. Yeah, so it's quite powerful. And some people said to please my parents, maybe to please their parents, because you've got to please your parents. You know, the parents tell you, you got to do this, you got to pray, you got to do that. So therefore, or maybe it's just so that they can please their parents and not interested in hijab whatsoever. So that was the individuals who wore the hijab, right? And these were their comments. Now, inshallah, we're going to go in depth, because this is, I think, what we really need to focus on, which is those individuals who don't wear the hijab. And we'll begin that with a very loud salawat ala Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad. So they were 140. And the question asked, have you always, this is just for those who do not wear hijab, who answered no, they don't wear hijab. Have you always not worn the hijab, or you made a decision not to wear it after experiencing it first? And that was important for me as well, because maybe you were just brought up in not wearing the hijab, or you did wear the hijab, but then you found out, nah, I gotta change my mind. Okay, this is not good for me. So that was quite important. So around 60% said always not worn the hijab. This around nearly 30% said made a decision not to wear it after experiencing it first. And quite a few percentage had other comments. What are the main reason, or S, you don't wear the hijab? Okay. So overwhelming, they had other, which I will show you what these other. The other is where they can write their comments about why they don't wear the hijab. But you can see here quite a large number of people, they feared for their own life from any Islamophobic attack. And that's quite striking, isn't it? That a lot of those individuals who don't wear the hijab don't wear it because, no, Islam says, they don't believe that it's wajib in Islam, right? I mean, that we can argue. Nor they believe that, you know, it's nothing, it's cultural, and our parents and stuff, they didn't wear it, so I won't wear it. No, they actually fear for their life in this community. You remember when we talked about far right, those of you who were here? Maybe the rise of the far right, the rise of what's going on, the rise of Islamophobia, the stats are amazing, isn't it? There's quite increasing number of Islamophobic attacks. So these particular sisters, they fear for their life that if they wear this hijab on their head, yeah, then there will be more chances for them to get what? To get an attack, an Islamophobic attack on them. Yeah, so it's quite interesting data to present. And others say it's cultural, my parents don't want me, etc. This is an interesting one. I don't look good in hijab, which quite a good number of people said as well. Do you believe you are well versed with the reasons why the scholars? So the same question for those who don't wear the hijab. And you see this number has increased to around 35%. So quite a large number, although some did say, majority did say yes. This particular graph increased when what? When you have those individuals who don't wear the hijab. So therefore quite a good percentage of them don't know why does Islam say you should wear the hijab. So inshallah it's something that we'll talk about later as well. So I'm about to show you is for those who don't wear the hijab and made a decision to take it off after experiencing it. Yeah, so the following data is to show those who don't wear the hijab and they've tried it and they've taken it off. Yeah, it's quite a small niche, but so what I'm going to show you, and I'm going to show you the comments that they have given, these particular sisters, right? For those who tried it and they gave it. And I'm trying to represent their point of view here, yeah? And inshallah we'll try to talk about it. Again, I'm not trying to demonize anyone, I'm trying to represent their point of view so that we can talk about it publicly. So this one says, this particular sister says, for me wearing hijab was a big representation of Islam. I felt like I wasn't ready to represent such a beautiful religion so publicly. There were things I did in my life after taking my headscarf off that if I had done whilst wearing it, I would have felt like a hypocrite. I didn't want other people to think that's what Islam was all about, and they will automatically associate my actions with my religion. And that's very interesting, because she didn't want to wear the hijab because she wanted to go to certain areas maybe that are not very compatible with the religion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yes, maybe certain areas where it's not really associated with those people who are Muslim, right? So she didn't want to feel like a hypocrite, yeah? But unfortunately, we do have sisters who wear the hijab who act like those individuals who are not ambassadors of Islam. Yeah, and I'm getting these particular comments quite a lot actually, where people feel it's actually quite hypocrite from those individuals who wear the hijab, yeah, and they say, yeah, you know, we are religious and stuff like that, but the actions they do, the akhlaq they present in the community is not so good, right? So those individuals who don't wear the hijab, they find it, they say, look, she's supposed to be someone who is representative of Islam. This is her identity. Look at what she's doing. So therefore, that's why when I always tell my wife, who's a GP, I tell her, when you are sitting down there and someone comes in from the door and you are an ambassador to Islam, wherever you do, you even have more responsibility than us, because some of us don't even look Muslim, right? But you do look like a Muslim, right? So you have this huge responsibility. And of course, with huge responsibility comes lots of reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We don't get that opportunity, but you get that opportunity to represent, you be our ambassadors to this beautiful religion. Another said, it was affecting my ability to get the job I wanted. It was affecting my marriage prospects. That's interesting, yeah, so yes, because only those who patriarchal mindset gave me proposals, whilst men who I thought similar to didn't want a hijabi wife. I was judged for wearing a hijab and say going for a meal with friends in the evening, whilst there was no judging once I stopped wearing it. Yeah, my job meant going into white majority areas, and I was scared of racism being directed at me. Yeah, so that's why she doesn't wear the hijab. Interesting, isn't it? I have 4 children, and although I see women with as many children wearing hijab, I don't feel like I look after my hijab and present it properly with all my other responsibilities. I don't do it justice. Again, this particular sister seems like she's portraying the hijab as something quite noble and something quite important. So therefore, she just says, I won't make it justice if I wear the hijab. Yeah. This one says, I'm a part-time hijabi, which was interesting. I thought it was a bit comical. I had to add it there. So sometimes, I'm guessing, sometimes she wears the hijab, sometimes she doesn't. It's like maybe 3 days a week and stuff. This one is interesting. So I'm about to show you this one, which actually destroys me personally. Yeah, but I wanted to show it, just to show that I'm representing different point of views here. Okay? So, your survey doesn't explore women's reasons enough. It feels like you're just going to use this research to pull out some quick stats in a majlis to demonize women who don't wear hijab. Bit sad about that. But anyway, but this is what some people believe, and I respect their decision. I respect their opinion. It's not what I'm doing, okay, as I explained earlier. Why are women always targeted? What about educating men about their duties surrounding this whole topic? Lower your eyes, etc. It should be highlighted in talks, just like the women are always reminded about hijab. And this comment actually does help me, and it did help me to actually talk about hijab for men, right? As we have highlighted already. I rarely see anyone in correct hijab. I don't wear scarf, but my form doesn't show any, and doesn't show, and my chest is covered as per direct verses in the Holy Quran. Most scarf wearing sisters don't cover the chest or figures, but wear a scarf. Yeah? What then is the difference between them and I, when we have just covered alternative areas in hijab? You know what? I agree with her. Yeah? I agree with her. That there are, the trend in hijab has actually gone down quite a lot. No, that didn't make sense. Let me start that again. The style of hijab, the hijab that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has prescribed to sisters is being taken, understood differently now, that a lot of the sisters actually don't wear the hijab as how they're supposed to wear, right? They wear tight clothes, they reveal certain areas, which actually shows that some have misunderstood the concept of hijab, because the hijab is not just for covering the hair, as you very well know. Yeah, and it disappoints me that we see this trend rising. I have a 12-year-old daughter, okay, and the thing is that what I can see is that if she needs to blend in with other sisters, right, then she has to sort of wear the hijab like how they wear it, because she needs to blend in. You know, she's someone who needs to blend in with her friends, right? And so therefore maybe, I mean, I'm yet to see, but maybe that, you know, she will probably want to wear the same as what they wear, you know, tight trousers, whatever, right? Which disappoints me. But also I understand from her perspective if she wants to do that, right? Because this is how the community is. And it is quite upsetting to know that for us as a community, as a community who are believers in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and for us who understand the concept of hijab, just so that we can want to blend in, because I see my friend X and Y and Z do this, then I want to do it. Rather than doing nahi anil munkar, which we spoke about, if we are real Hussainis, we actually reverse this, and I'll be the role model where I wear the appropriate hijab. You don't need me to tell you what is the appropriate hijab. You know better than I do, right? But for me to reverse this and defy all odds and say this is the right hijab, and this is how it should be done, because I am a Zaynabiyya. I follow the path of Ahl al-Bayt, and the Ahl al-Bayt, Zaynab alayhi salam and Fatima al-Zahra alayhi salam, will be disappointed in my way of wearing the hijab. Yeah. Too much emphasis is put on hijab within Muslim communities. There are women wearing hijab who then wear lots of makeup and skin-tight clothing. It is more important to be kind, give to charity, than to wear hijab. And inshallah we'll tackle this particular aspect also later on. I'm not very connected to Allah. I am Shia and Sayyid, but my upbringing has been more cultural than religious. And you gotta understand that certain people, their culture, they've been brought up in a culture that is not really focused on hijab. Yeah. So inshallah for the remainder of the talk, we will answer some of the queries that some of the people raised in the survey, inshallah. And inshallah, so that the community benefits from these particular queries and also from the answers. We start this with a loud salawat ala Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad. So statement number one, hijab is not written in the Quran. Okay. So this is where all the sisters should actually take note, and you should at least take notes of the verses, the verse number, and go and look into this, because there are a lot of people who say hijab is not mentioned in the Quran. There's no hijab in the Quran, right? What does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say? So this particular verse number 24, verse number 60, chapter 20, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, He gives an opinion on hijab. Yes, this is a verse that shows you Allah has an opinion on hijab. He says the following, وَالْقَوَاعِدُ مِنَ النِّسَاءِ اللَّاتِي لَا يَرْجُونَ نِكَاحًا فليس عليهن جناح أن يضعن ثيابهن غير متبرجات بزينة. He says that such elderly women as are past the prospect of marriage, those individuals, elderly women who can't get married anymore, right? They pass the age of marriage. It's okay for them to sort of take it easy with their hijab. Jurisprudentially, that is correct. Yeah, it's okay for them to take it easy with their hijab, because there is no need for them to, there isn't this sexual attraction. Okay, there is no blame on them if they lay aside their outer garments. So Allah has an opinion on hijab. Yeah, so He's saying those individuals who are elders, it's okay for them to lay their they don't need to tighten it up. So, it's okay. Just take it a bit easier. Okay? Provided they make not a wanton display of their beauty. Of course, you shouldn't show your beauty, etc. So this one tells us what? That Islam has an opinion on hijab, on the headscarf. Yeah? This is the verse that we narrated, remember? 24:31. وَقُلْ لِلْمُؤْمِنَاتِ يَغْضُضْنَ مِنْ أَبْصَارِهِنَّ وَيَحْفَظْنَ فُرُوجَهُنْ. And say to the believing women that they cast down their looks and guard their private parts. And by the way, yeah, when we talk about lowering their gaze, right? Usually when someone states and says, mu'mineen should lower their gaze, you quickly think of men. But Allah here is saying women as well. Yeah? He's saying women, you should lower their gaze. You lower your gaze in front of men. Yeah? So it's the same thing, right? This is the social hijab. وَيَحْفَظْنَ فُرُوجَهُنْ, and also guard their private parts. And then he goes on and he says, and do not display their ornaments and beauty except what appears thereof. وَلَا يُبْدِينَ زِينَتَهُنَّ إِلَّا مَا ظَهَرَ مِنْهَا. So he has an opinion on this. Yes, he says, do not show your zina, do not show your beauty. And then we'll ask a question, okay, then why hair? Is hair actually a beauty thing? Right? Allah says, I don't want you to show your beauty. Only to those people who I accept. And then he says, then they should draw their veils over their bosoms. وَلَيَضْرِبْنَ بِخُمُرِهِنَّ عَلَى جُيُوبِهِنَّ. And what's interesting about this, and this is very interesting, you should really focus on this particular verse. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, yes, there is no one verse that Allah says women should wear a headscarf, because that's not how it is, right? We need to discover these particular issues, and there are so many of them. And this is interesting. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala could have said, وَلْيَضْرِبْنَ عَلَى جُيُوبِهِنْ. If he said that, if he wants to say women should cover their chest, he could have said, why don't women cover your chest? But he didn't say that. He said you should use your بِخُمُرِهِنْ, right? Al-khimar is this headscarf thing. Yeah, at the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it was the headscarf. So where they had this covering of the hair and down, right? That was called the khimar. In Arabic, that's what khimar doesn't start from here; it starts from the head. This is established everywhere, right? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, why did He say use your khimar to cover your chest? He could have said, okay, just cover your chest. I don't care about your hair. Do you get this or not? Or am I talking somewhere else? Yes. Do we need a salawat? وَلْيَضْرِبْنَ بِخُمُرِهِنَّ عَلَى جُيُوبِهِنَّ. Okay, it's important that he mentioned this khimar. Okay, so this is what's interesting about that verse. Going back, وَلَا يُبْدِينَ زِينَتَهُنَّ إِلَّا لِبُعُولَتِهِنَّ أَوْ آبَائِهِنَّ أَوْ آبَائِ. Then he starts to say, look, this zina, this this beauty that you are revealing, right, and I don't want you to reveal, this particular beauty I want you to reveal only to certain individuals. Okay, so this is all a command from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yeah, and he says don't display this except to your husbands, their fathers, and husband's father, and then he goes into أبناء أو أبناء بعولتهن وإخوانهن أو ولا يضربن بأرجلهن ليعلم ما يخفين من زينتهن وتوبوا إلى الله جميعا أيها المؤمنون لعلكم تفلحون. Yeah, right. The next particular verse says 33:59. He says, يا أيها النبي قل لأزواجك وبناتك ونساء المؤمنين يدنين عليهن من what? جلابيبهن. Again, he says, instructing the wives of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and the rest of the mu'minat. He says, I want you to let down upon them their overgarments. Again, yeah, this is what the jalabiba, whatever it's called, jilba, right? Jalabibihin in this particular one is this garment, right? Again, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has this particular view, right? That this garment, he's instructing those individuals who are the wives of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and also the mu'minat so that can lay down the overgarments. Statement number 2. You can still be modest and respectful and a good Muslim without wearing a piece of cloth to cover the hair. Possibly, but you are disobeying the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you are not a law-abiding Muslim. Why do I have a seat belt in there? This is a bit random. You see, the thing is that if you say, okay, I am a good mu'minah, my akhlaq is very good, and I don't think hijab, wearing the headscarf is important. I just think that just, covering my chest and everything, that's fine. But you are not abiding by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's laws. It's like saying, I don't want to pray. You're saying, no, but prayer is important. Prayer is, you got to abide by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's laws. You say, no, it's like picking and choosing. I don't want to fast. I don't like fasting. No, you've got to fast. If you're a mu'minah, if you're a Muslim, you got to fast. This, you are not law abiding. The same thing is that if you are a UK citizen, right, and you sit and you drive, why does the UK government tell you to wear a seatbelt while you're driving? Why would it care? If I was to go and open the car, right, and the police comes and says, well, I'll start drive without a seatbelt, and the police stops me and says, well, sir, why don't you have your seatbelt? And I say, well, what's it to you? If I die, it's my fault, and you're not going to suffer. I'm just going to die. Yeah? All right, my car might suffer, but that's, again, none of your business. So it's just me. Yeah? Why would the government care? It's because it's law, isn't it? It's law in the government because they don't want more and more deaths, right? They're protecting the people. So Allah subhanahu, it's the same thing. I'm not law abiding if I don't wear the seatbelt. So you are not abiding by the Islamic law if you don't wear the hijab. Yeah? It's an Islamic law. Sometimes there are laws that you have to follow. Same thing with the seatbelt, right? Also, wearing the headscarf. A study by a website, Zeusk.com, found that 89% said that the hair is the first thing that men notice in a woman and attracts them in a woman. It's hair, right? So when you come and analyze this issue and you say, well, why do we need to, this particular sister who said, well, why do you need to cover your hair? I wear modest clothes. I have good akhlaq. I don't need to cover my hair. But data shows that the first thing that men notice in a woman, 89%, overwhelming, is actually her hair. Right? And Islam doesn't come up with these things just because it wants to. Of course, this is a recent study. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows this, right? Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Only a few left, inshallah. Statement number 3. In the West, the hijab just makes me stand out more. So I ask you a question. Will you be proud and stand out if you had an expensive handbag? Yeah? If you wear a particular headscarf and you wear a hijab and you go in society and you don't want people to look at you, and things like that because you wear a headscarf. But you know what? A lot of women and stuff, when they buy these particular things, like an expensive handbag, they want to be recognized. They go out with an expensive handbag to be recognized, right? So this particular cloth that you put over your head is something that, of course, you should be proud of, absolutely proud of, right? And if you stand out, you stand out, because people who have their expensive handbags stand out for different reasons, of course. We should be proud that this is your identity. Not for the reason that because I stand out, I don't want to wear it. Yeah? When we go and pray, right, in certain places, like in the motorway, stop, salah, right? Go to I'm sure a lot of you have done it, in a service station. Where do we pray? Or find a space in the service station and go and pray. Yes, we stand out. But does that mean I shouldn't pray? I should wait until it becomes qada and then pray? No, no. This is Islam.
right? If you are if you are making some facade on the earth, if you're making corruption on the land, if the law tells you cannot pray here whatsoever, then of course you shouldn't go and pray there. Find somewhere else to pray, right? But law doesn't tell you that. But what? You stand out. So what? You stand out. So many people stand out in whatever they do. People wear different things, they stand out. Yeah? So this is interesting. If every breath is focused on spiritual gain and spiritual growth, then you will not see this ridicule of the stairs. That's the problem here. We see this physical thing of when we see people staring at us. But actually, if your every breath you take is actually focused on the spiritual gain, that you are getting closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, slowly and surely. As you take these steps, you're getting closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you don't really notice the stairs, right? Then you won't, honestly, it will just be very trivial for you. And in fact, that will most generate goodness and love around them is a reflection of what radiates from within their focused hearts, right? Statement number 4, if I were to observe the hijab and do so properly, it will become even less likely for me to get married or my husband does not allow me. Now, forgive me for saying the next statement. Yeah, it's going to come out very, very badly. I'm going to give you a warning. It's quite a harsh statement. Yeah, so I'm laying out there But why would you be so shallow to marry such an individual? Yes, marriage is sunnatillah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will plan it for you. But you don't succumb to the issue that in society we have such men who are so let me choose my words carefully. We have men who are losers, right? We have men who are losers. Thank you, my brain. We have men who are losers, right? Who want to look for women who don't wear hijab, right? From the start, you are actually taking a wrong step. And by the way, my brothers and sisters, we talked about in the first night about the exaggerated wedding ceremonies and what's been happening in our communities and stuff like that. And the issue of hijab must be respected in weddings as well. Why do individuals, when they have their wedding, they sort of take it easy with their hijab? Why is it that when the man comes in, the husband comes in, the groom comes in to greet his, this is mostly in Iraqi weddings, to greet his wife, right, that the ladies, some of them put on their hijab and some of them don't, right? And some of them put on the hijab but very reluctantly and not a good hijab. On wedding days, hijab must also be respected. It's not an off day, right? And that's very important. Statement number 5, I don't feel ready, okay? Which is disappointing because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will actually decide when you're ready or not. Yeah, it's under His command, not your command. It's like when I say again for prayers, I don't feel like I can pray now. I'm just a bit, I don't really get it, so I won't pray. No, Islam, you must follow these these rules because Allah has made them for our benefit. Maybe I don't get it now, but later on you'll get it. Trust me, you will get it. But maybe you don't get it now. But this is the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Again, it's the same thing as the British law. You gotta follow the British law. We gotta follow a command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Statement number 6, we have 7, so this is the last 2. We need to stop focusing on hijab and concentrate on other things that are mandatory, like treating your wife right. They're completely separate things. We should really talk about treating your wife right. And I did talk about that on the first day. You know, we talked about domestic violence and the increase of domestic violence in our community and what we should do really about it. But what is that to do with, you know, why can't we talk about domestic violence in the community and also talk about hijab, right? Why does it have to be one or the other? Okay, so I didn't see the correct connection between the two. Any problem that is out there in the community, we should talk about it. We should discuss it. We should debate about it. We should have a dialogue about it, as we talked about yesterday, right? We shouldn't shy about these things. If you believe that you are being mistreated by your husband, then you should do something about it. Yeah? You should do something about it. This is not Islam's fault. This is the fault of the community who has given permission to certain individuals to do what they do. Yeah? So we should try to find a solution, because we all of us will be accountable as a community together on the day of judgment. And the last one is being racially abused. And to be quite honest with you, my brothers and sisters, as the graph, as the stats showed, the rise of Islamophobia, and certain individuals don't wear their hijab because they are afraid, then of course this is a big concern, okay? And I'm not trivializing this whatsoever. But I tell you this, that I believe that this should actually make you stronger, but we shouldn't succumb to those individuals who exactly want us to take our hijab off, right? Those of the far right, those who are anti-Islam, want to pressurize us so you, sisters, will take off your hijab and get more distant from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is their plan. Would you want to succumb to their own plans? Would you want to follow the enemy's plans? Because this is what you'll do if you take off your hijab. Remember Fatima al-Zahra alayhi salam. Remember Zainab alayhi salam when she faced so much oppression. Do you face the same oppression as Zainab alayhi salam? No, you don't. The cases where women have been sort of attacked because of the hijab, again, I'm not trivializing it. There are cases out there, but it's not common. It's not common at all. Okay? But if there are cases, then there are organizations. There is Tell Mama, right? An organization, a Muslim organization, which actually does care about these particular attacks, Islamophobic attacks. You can call the police. You should call the police, right? We live in a country that, yes, your rights are respected. But that does not mean that we succumb to them. If someone says, oh, Muslims shouldn't pray, out there, we don't like them praying, should we stop praying? Or they attack us for praying, does that mean we stop praying? No, we have to have this belief within us. Again, we shouldn't succumb to society. And what society will do. We are law-abiding citizens. The law tells us we do things, absolutely. But the law doesn't tell us that you shouldn't wear hijab. The law doesn't tell us that you shouldn't pray, okay? Rightly so. You should have free will to follow your religion and practice your religion as how you want it, and you are practicing your religion. If there are some monkeys out there, right, who are doing these particular, some clowns out there who are doing these things, then it should make you even stronger. As a woman, go out there with strong faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will protect you as how He protected Zainab and her family. And with that, inshallah, I hope that we have gone through certain aspects to do with hijab. I am here. If you like a Q&A after today's program, I am available, especially the sisters. Please come and ask. Please come and challenge me in whatever you like to ask. I am here to be challenged, right? Maybe I said something that I might have offended you. Maybe those individuals who are listening online, those non-hijabis who got offended, I am sorry. This is not my intention. But I am trying to lay out these particular issues and find solutions to them. And of course, with these particular days, it's important that we lay out these particular issues. If we really want to be this Husseini community and we follow the models who are Ahlul Bayt and Zainab alayhi salam, who was the role model of not just sisters, but also brothers and Muslims as a whole. We welcome Sayyid Ali to recite the Musibah for us. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد.